A little while back, Coach Cuffy on TikTok reached out to me offering a coaching session because apparently he liked my vibe, which I think is cool. After checking out his qualifications, because there are a ton of people who claim to be Overwatch 2 coaches that are definitely not much better than I am, I checked him out and thought, you know what, he absolutely has these qualifications. So the video you're going to see is literally what happened when he coached me. He allowed me to record it, and I do want to give him a huge shout out. It is Coach Cuffy on TikTok. You can check the link in the description as well. Make sure you go give him a follow. It's totally free. Speaking of things that don't cost you anything, either just sub to the channel or liking the video and ringing the bell. These things take you a couple seconds of your time, and it helps me out a ton. I appreciate it. Let's get to the video.
So in terms of your rank, are you diamond? What was this?
Diamond 3 last night.
Diamond 3 last night.
Yep.
That's actually not too bad. And in terms of your history with Overwatch, have you been playing since Overwatch 2 or Overwatch 1? How long have you been playing since release? Or
Overwatch 2, I started, I think chat and I looked at it. I think it was November.
okay. So approaching a year, Diamond 3. No, that's pretty good to be fair. How many hours have you committed to it?
Shoot, I want to say probably somewhere in the ballpark of 225 to 235.
That's not bad at all. Yeah, no, you're chilling. Like, I think you interact with Overwatch in a very healthy way from what I see. Like, you don't make it consume your life, but you also practice, you also warm up, and you also delegate time to climb. And I think that that's a very smart way to go about things. Just generally, being a coach, you kind of have to know about lifestyle and what's healthy, because health and lifestyle and personal life always comes first, no matter what, right?
Absolutely. Yep.
So I think that you're on track with that sort of stuff. Like, you're fine. You know exactly what you're doing. And in terms of heroes that you play, is Baptiste your main?
Baptiste is my main. Out of those 200 roughly hours, I have 105 with him. So more than half the hours are him.
Yeah. Right now, my rank is not super high compared to what I used to. Last season, I hit top 500.
Oh, good for you.
But if you look at my all modes, my Lucio hours and my Ana hours
my
are quite
Lanta.
a bit ahead of yeah. But I've been playing for 7 years. This is even just it's my account with the most hours, but I have even more hours than this on my other account, so it gets kind of crazy. But I've been playing the game for 7 years.
Yeah.
So Baptiste is your main. Any other characters that you can play at all, like on support?
On support, Ana would be my secondary. If for some reason someone takes Bap quicker than I can, which is pretty rare, but when it does happen, I go for Ana.
Okay, cool. So I don't mind typing out like the general structure for you. I'll do that so we're not wasting any time in this session because I know we're quite limited for time. There's a general structure that like Overwatch esports seems to go down, and as a Baptiste Ana player, you'd be what's known as a flex support. And flex supports are typically meant to know Ana, Baptiste, Zenyatta, Moira, off the top of my head, and Kiriko. Okay. It's not the end of the world. Obviously, you're very, very early into your journey, and you've had like a very good start. Diamond 3 is well above average in terms of player base, right?
Right.
But yeah, by the time you're hitting Grandmaster, I would want you to either start learning then or like have at least a couple more of those flex support characters in your hero pool. Just because it's more attractive to teams that want to pick you up and stuff like that,
Sure.
Like the more characters that you know and the more characters that you're comfortable on, teams are gonna really, really like that.
Okay. Sure.
So with that in mind, the first thing that I usually go over when I'm coaching people are the comps, because compositions actually matter a whole bunch in terms of like winning the game.
Yeah.
So right now, I'm looking at your team comp, and your team comp is not too bad. You have a Doomfist, which is not the greatest tank in the world, but the Torbjorn and the Cassidy can definitely play around a Doomfist. They can take angles whilst our Doomfist goes in and stuff like that. Create space, we take angles. This map is very good for angles because we have this, sorry, this route here, this sight line. We have this sight line. We also have, above this sight line. And Torbjorn is good for holding two separate angles, one with his turret and one with himself. So like, him just chilling. And then Cassidy is also good at holding a separate angle, as well as playing quite close range. Cassidy is fine for that. In fact, I would argue that right now, if I'm looking at the comp, Anna is a better pick than Baptiste,
Okay.
just because your team either goes in or plays very far away. So like Cassidy, Torbjorn, they can play for range. They don't have to always walk. Whereas, Anna is a lot easier to heal far away targets than Bap.
Okay.
Does that
Yeah,
make
that's true.
sense?
That's absolutely, yeah, it does.
Mhm. So everything that I'm saying, take it with a pinch of salt, because I genuinely believe that you can be a one trick in Overwatch and hit top 500. I've coached many one tricks before. But if you think about it this way, Baptiste, there's a lot of travel time on his hills.
Yeah.
The bullets have to travel, which means the further away the people are, one, it's harder to hit them, and two, you actually have way less healing output over time because you have to compensate for the travel time. Whereas Anna, she can aim in and she has a consistent healing output. Does that make sense?
It does. Yep. And you obviously, with Ana being hit scan versus for her healing versus a projectile
Hmm.
base too, that's definitely big.
Precisely. So if I'm looking at your comp right now, I think maybe you should pick to stick with the Cassidy, because Cassidy can play close range. You can heal him up pretty well. Your Kiriko can pretty much heal the Doom on her own, and it's also gonna be. I would argue that it's easier, or you get more value. Let's say you'll get more value from healing the Cassidy slash the Torbjorn by you than attempting to even go for heals on the Doomfist, because healing a Doom is difficult from a top 500 peak support player. Like, I can't even heal Dooms consistently on Baptiste because, they're very fast,
Right. They're
hard to hit.
mobile. Yeah.
Hmm. Um, so yeah, I would look at this comp and think, what's our overall healing output like? Oh well, our Kiriko. If our Kiriko only heals the Doomfist, then Doomfist should be fine for heals. You should say to your Kiriko, you don't have to worry about the other DPS because I'll care for the DPS whilst you care for the Doom. Does that make sense?
It does. Yep.
So that's a good structure. Um, I'm a firm believer that you can throw any five characters together in Overwatch and have some kind of synergy between them. So analyze who's on your team first. That's the most important thing. It's the first bit of information that you even find out in the game, because you know what your team is. Play to a win condition, and then after first contact with the enemy team, we can start thinking about, okay, how can we counterplay the enemy team? Right now, from your perspective, we have no idea what they're playing. You can only see the Mercy, I believe,
Right.
barely
Right.
even. But yeah, at this point, mhm, this is quite interesting because this is already a concept here. Um, the Cassidy is kind of out of position, going hyper aggressive. Although I said to stick with the Cassidy, this is a situation where you don't want to follow someone on your team that's not necessarily fulfilling his job in the greatest possible way.
Yeah.
So I think you're right in sticking with team in this sense, healing up the Doom, because this is a range where you can actually heal the Doom.
Right. Because I'm close enough.
Hmm. Do you IGL? Do you like? Do you speak on the mic when you're trying to um climb in rank? Like, do you communicate with the team?
Typically speaking, no. And that's mostly because, in my experience with the current state of the game, there's not much constructive effort in that from the rest of the team. Typically speaking, obviously there's
Yeah.
exceptions, but
So I think personally, it's always worth coming on the mic.
okay,
Always,
okay,
just because you've got nothing to lose. If you say something on the mic and it's beneficial to your team and your team listens, that's a positive. But if you say something on the mic and your team doesn't listen, at least you know that you are open to that opportunity. You gave your team all the information that you can. And as a support, it's very helpful to also be good at communicating, because there are going to be instances where you physically can't do more than give your team information be thinking about the things that the rest of your team can't think about when they're going in, for example.
Understood. Okay, that makes sense.
In the mid fight, Baptiste doesn't really have a lot to think about other than healing and shooting. Like, that is his primary job, is just understanding when to right click and when to left click. So if you're thinking about, I don't know, enemy ults used, or which way we should potentially rotate if nobody else is like calling for it, or who else on our team needs help that you can't necessarily help, play around this, play around that, they have this ult coming up, you know?
Right.
This is more complicated stuff, but obviously I know what your aspirations are, so I'm literally telling you like the GM level gameplay. Support players like to track the stuff that are hard to track.
Okay.
Mainly it's main support players. So main supports are actually Lucio, Brig, Mercy, and Lifeweaver. The term main support, once again, is like the role flex support. You're a flex support player. Main support has no commentary whatsoever on healing output. That's the biggest mistake that people make. A main healer a main healer describes healing output. So Baptiste is a main healer, but a main support is something completely different. A main support is Lucio, Brig, Mercy, and Lifeweaver. Basically, the utility supports.
Okay.
And flex supports are known as like the aim supports. For some reason, Moira is involved in that category. I have no idea why, but you know, um, that's the easiest way to describe it. Main
Okay.
supports usually track ults, like, okay, what's been used, looking at the kill feed, looking at the scoreboard to see who's actually popping off on the enemy team and predicting what's coming up. So that's not necessarily your role as a flex support player, but where's the harm in learning that skill? If you can
Yeah.
learn that skill and you're good at that skill, there's absolutely no harm, and it will help you so much in your ranked games.
Okay. I'm with you.
Now you see me? Now you don't. A shot of hell. Reaching up.
I'm just gonna look at that again because I know that that wasn't perfect, but at the same time, I'm trying to think how realistic it is for me to say for you to do other things. Yeah, I just don't think that jump over was necessary, to be honest.
I think it was accidental. I'm gonna be honest with you.
Yeah.
Normally, what I'll do is I'll jump and try and kind of hover over the tram or the train there. But
Yeah.
that did not go the way. I remember literally going, well, that went differently in
Okay.
my mind. So yeah, I agree with you there, though. Absolutely.
But you backed up and you seem to be fine. So I'm just gonna ignore that. You know what you did was not the right play.
Not optimal. Yeah.
Yeah. That's very nice aim, actually. What have you played? Do you have a history in gaming? Like, have you been gaming all your life? Have you played other first-person shooters throughout your
Yeah,
life?
I came out of Apex Legends. I never was into the
Oh, okay.
esports side of things, but I came out of Apex and I played Apex Legends for I think it was from like season 2 or 3 into basically all the way up until about 3 or 4 seasons ago. So I played.
Did you ever hit high rank in Apex?
I don't actually remember what my highest was. I think it was plat, but I forget the breakdown of Apex, but I don't think I ever got. I know I never got into like Predator or
Yeah.
I think they have
Or
Master
Apex
there too.
Predator, yeah.
Yeah, I never
Yeah.
got into those really really high ranks. I know that for certain, but
Okay. But the one thing I think, Apex is a weird game because a lot of people have very varying opinions on it. But the one thing that I really love about Apex, and it teaches players decent aim. One, the movement is not too bad in Apex. The movement is fairly complicated. But where Apex really thrives is the fact that the magazine sizes are so small and the time to kill is so long, which means it genuinely relies on the person that has a better aim over a prolonged period of time. Does that make sense?
yeah, it does. Rather than hitting short bursts, you've got to consistently be able to
Yes,
hit your
you have
shots.
to consistently hit your shots, and that's why Apex is really, really nice. And I could tell from your aim on that one kill on the junk that your recoil control, which is another thing that you probably learned from
Oh
Apex,
yeah,
Yeah.
R99
recoil-
control was something.
yeah. Your recoil control was quite good, and your precision was also quite good. So I'm gonna presume that you're gonna be at least decent with the tracking based characters, the tracking based hit scan characters. So in terms of like support hero pool, I think Moira is a very easy character to learn, and contrary to like popular belief, Moira is actually pretty decent right now. We see her getting played occasionally in World Cup and in pro games. She's really good for like high damage comps, so working her with Symmetra or Reaper, um, where the sustain at the start of the fight is super important, but we intend to like close the fights pretty quickly before our Moira runs out of heals. So Moira would be a good character for you to learn because your tracking is pretty decent, and
Okay.
also she's a very easy character to learn.
Yeah, I've played her a little bit, and I do generally understand her kit and everything that she
Yeah,
operates
her
under.
kit
Yeah.
is very simplistic
Yeah,
because she
yeah.
doesn't really provide a whole bunch of value outside of raw damage or raw heals. So,
Yep, exactly. Yep.
Yeah, that wouldn't be a bad one to learn. Kiriko is a lot more complicated. Zenyatta is also, well, simplistic kit, but difficult to learn. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
He's tricky to me. I agree.
Yeah. Just the projectile speeds and the lack of survivability. But
Yeah.
his kit is very, very strong. If you get him working, I think he's my most played this season, maybe, potentially. Third most played. Okay, fair. Yeah, I do love the Zen. I
Yeah.
love the Zen.
Zen's really good.
Get in here.
Right.
Get in here.
So you kind of whiffed the lamp.
Yeah.
But you know that, so...
Yeah,
you
I
can
meant to
move
throw
past
it
that.
into the Doom. Yeah.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Get in here.
I'm gonna slow that little interaction down so much. Sorry. I'm just trying to see
Like
something.
new again.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, cool. You want to be more composed with that burst ability.
Yeah, the shift.
Because if it's under 100 HP, you gain back 100 health as opposed to 50, right?
Mm-hmm.
You popped it on 140, which means you could have actually spent more time just purely shooting at the diva, waiting until you were under 100, going back to full health, and then killing her. You
Okay.
know?
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. Using it a little bit early.
Whereas, yeah, you used it slightly too early. You should just have a bit more composure, go under. Because think about it this way. If you pop it at 120, you only go to 170. But if you pop it at 90, you go to 190.
Yeah, because you get the full
Yeah,
time
because
effect.
you get the yeah, exactly. So you actually reduced your downtime and you actually had to get out of the fight as opposed to just sticking out and winning it because you popped that one ability too early. That's the issue with Overwatch, right? There's so many like chain reactions. It's like I did this one thing I don't know, 30 seconds ago, let's say, and it's affected the entire fight because of that one miss use of an ability. Now they demech, they stall for a lot longer. They might actually be able to turn this because we were unable to kill that diva, which is not ideal. Nice rotation out though, that's good map awareness. Using natural cover is really good.
Yeah, it was somewhere I struggled for a long time.
Nah, it's good. Like, a lot of people struggle with that. Like, it's weird because there are certain traits that you see, and there are also certain traits that people just don't do. A lot of the times I'll have to tell Grandmaster players to use the natural cover and they just don't think about it.
Right.
But I don't know. The thing that I say to people is you would happily walk behind a Reinhardt shield. So why don't you happily walk behind actual cover? A Reinhardt shield is
Subject
worse
to drop
cover.
at any time.
Yeah, a Reinhardt shield is literally worse cover than something that's on the map and can't be destroyed. Natural cover is infinite, whereas a Reinhardt shield has a cooldown and is uncertain as well. That's a nice burst. He definitely kept. Oh, that's unfortunate. Okay, cool. All right, that's fine. That you jumped at like a very unlucky time. If the soldier was looking at you, he would have been able to kill you.
Oh yeah, I realized as soon as I heard him hit the ult, I'm like, ah, crud, I gotta get out of there. Yeah.
I would start backing up at this point.
Yeah. Yep.
Oh, she's cringe. She's so cringe.
Yeah.
Well played. I like that.
I was honestly, that was exactly what my chat said last night too. It was like, heck that Moira, what was she doing?
Yeah.
It was such an ego play on both ends, though. Me dropping the window on her, I'm not sure was necessary, but
no, I think it's good. Like,
yeah, okay.
This is the thing. The ultimate. Imagine, I don't know if you've ever played League of Legends or anything like that, but games games like League of Legends, the ultimates are completely cooldown based, right? Overwatch is no different. Imagine it as an ability that just has a longer cooldown. You've now traded one ult for one ult because it was a coal into a window, and you've gone one up. So how wasn't that worth?
That's a good point.
What I'm saying?
Yeah, that's a good point. It's a really good point.
Just view it as an ability. You would commit an ability to secure a kill. So why wouldn't you commit the window, your ultimate, to secure a kill? You did completely fine there, and that was a high level play. I like that.
Sweet. Okay.
Selfish windows are oftentimes the best windows, honestly.
That does make some sense. Now, I'll be honest, I always wonder what to do here. Like, should I be on cart, generally speaking, as a support? Or do I... Yeah, that was just... I knew it was coming. Like, as soon as I heard him turn that on, I was like, nah, crap. But,
yeah, you had your lamp, but again, reflex is kind of difficult there.
But yeah, so I mean, like, do you... Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you there, but would you try to position yourself in a way where you're not on the cart moving it, despite the movement increased speed with more than one person on the cart? Or like, would you... I just have been trying to figure out like the value trade-off of me literally standing still on a cart versus being up above where the cart is right now on high ground, trying to get some early damage or some healing on my team. I've been trying to figure that out for a while.
Yes, and that is something that I could speak about for ages because it's one of the most nuanced things in Overwatch, to be honest.
That's fair.
Typically, we would want our most survivable person on cart or the person that is bound to get downtime. So in my opinion, based on the fact that you have... Damn, this is difficult, you know. You don't really have many good like characters to contest the cart. Basically, we would want our divas or our tracers or our Lucios to be on cart and escorting because they're survivable. If someone goes onto the cart and they're alone, they will get out. Does that make sense?
Yep, that does make sense.
But with something like Doomfist, he'll get out, but like without Doom in this comp, nothing happens. So Doom probably has to be being aggressive.
Right.
I would argue that you could be on cart here because you have downtime. You can't really do much if your Doom's going in and your Kiri's going in.
Right.
Or your Torb has fair amounts of survivability with the extra health here. And also your Torb can slap a turret down, has extra damage output. His damage output is super high damage output. He's kind of like Zen. That is also a form of survivability. He can output so much damage as well as the overhealth. He's one of the best duelists in the game. So Torb can go on cart here. You can go on cart here. Kiri can go on cart here because if Doom does get low, she can just TP off. But then that means that there's nobody on cart for a bit. So why not just slap Torbjorn or Bap on there? But I agree. Like, if it was a map like King's Row and you're running Lucio, Baptiste, Reinhardt, let's say, I would want Reinhardt being super aggressive on second point and just pushing up. And I would want our Bap to be pushing up with the Reinhardt and spamming the Reinhardt with heal so that he can stay there for longer and hold that space for longer. Whilst our Lucio is just all the way in the back, escorting the cart, being chill. you know?
Yeah.
Similarly with like a diva or a monkey comp, we would like to be going in with the monkey, but having our tracer on cart whilst our sombra assistant monkey would dies instead, you know?
That makes
Because
sense.
it's to do with survivability and downtime and who can get back to the fight a lot earlier or who can get away from the fight a lot earlier. It shouldn't just be like an easy target. The biggest mistake that people do is slap their Ana on cart and have the Lucio, playing with the team. But that's
Right.
stupid because the team just dies and then the Ana dies afterwards. If the Ana goes up and the Lucio stays on cart, you can potentially still win the fight. And again, there's nuance to this because if the Lucio has ult and the Ana doesn't have ult, then you would want the Lucio up and the Ana on cart because,
He
your
has the
Lucio is now
ultimate.
the win conditioning.
Right.
Yeah. So there's so much nuance to it.
That makes sense.
But typically it's the most survivable person. If it's in ranked, if you realize that other people aren't doing it, then you might as well do it yourself. But as a flexible player, I would rather you be set up. I would rather you be set up in an actual fight than on cart and being AFK, personally.
Right. Generally speaking, yeah, I'm with you.
Yeah,
Obviously,
yeah.
there's nuance, but I'm with you. I'm with you.
Mm-hmm.
Some dipped up shit.
I've just realized something. Again, it's not a misplay. Another thing.
Yeah.
I didn't really comment on you now doing analysis of the enemy comp. In this situation, we can be super, super proactive here. Baptiste, you're doing well on Baptiste. You're living on Baptiste, but you're not really making a whole bunch of plays.
Right.
That's because Baptiste can't really make plays. He can't really brawl into a Reaper Junkrat, can he? Because he'll just die.
Right.
But a character like Ana, if you swap to Ana, you can be looking at Fade cooldowns. You can be looking at Wraith cooldowns. If you can land a nade on the Reaper, it's a free Wraith, and then that gives us a target to actually go on when the Wraith ends. Or even Moira Fade. If you nade the Moira, she might fade to cleanse the nade, and then we can just go on the Moira. If you land a nade on the Mercy, we can go on the Moira. If you land a nade on Mercy, you can go on the Mercy and not even worry about her popping abilities because she has nothing to cleanse it.
Right.
Do you see what? Do you see how switching to Ana here can be a lot more proactive? And
Yeah.
Ana nades are super good into May, Reaper, Moira, even Baptiste because of Immortality Field. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like that's the key to climbing on Ana. That is the key to climbing on Ana, and not many people do those things. Don't think about a fight win or an even trade-off as killing the entire enemy team.
Yeah.
Sometimes, like Junker Queen meta, if you know Junker Queen meta to a very deep extent, you would know that like the majority of the fight is literally forcing Suzu, and Junker Queen kind of looks to avoid contact until the Suzu is popped, and then the team kind of goes in. So the initial fight on certain comps, even Doomfist, any form of dive or even brawl to an extent, any comp can play into it as a win condition, is to have a soft sort of engagement that just gets abilities out, whether it's Reinhardt shield getting depleted or Fade or Immortality Field or anything down that line. We can sort of chill out, stabilize, knowing that they have nothing left, and then go in and take that next fight for free.
That makes sense. That does make
Yeah.
sense. Okay.
Be proactive. Be proactive. Baptiste is a good hero to climb on because he can secure kills. Even in this situation, like I said, if I had a Doomfist and I was adamant on locking Baptiste, I would know that my Kiriko is able to care for my Doom, which means I can probably play more aggressive. I could potentially off angle. I could be a very big threat to the enemy team as long as I'm thinking about how to engage and disengage safely. No reason why you can't come up here, jump, poke at anything that's down there, you know what I mean? Back up. Take this off angle, literally shoot at the backline for free. You know what's good about playing into Diva comp as well? If the Diva flies onto you here, then the Doom can go on the Mercy and the Moira for free, with D.Va, space acquisition is space sacrifice elsewhere.
That makes sense. Okay. Yeah, that's a good point.
So it's all about weaponizing what you have and countering what the enemy has. That D.Va strategy, D.Va going on you so our Doom can hit backline, only works if you have a tank like Doomfist or Monkey or Wrecking Ball. If we had a tank like, I don't know, Orisa, we could potentially still walk on the backline, but it's going to be a lot harder because
Right.
Orisa is a lot slower.
Yep.
We need those explosive engagements, and I would even argue that if you're dying in exchange for 2 supports, that's completely fine. In Overwatch 2, there's not a second tank to protect our backline. So as long as we're killing the enemy backline before our backline dies, it's an even trade-off. It's completely fine if you die in fights as long as the enemy team are dying first. Again, that D.Va, playing into D.Va, that concept is quite advanced as well.
Yeah, that makes. I mean, yeah. When you were explaining it, it makes perfect sense that it would be a bit more on the higher end.
Being the second, be the second hit into D.Va. We don't want to hit when D.Va is there protecting her team because nothing will die. So we wait until D.Va uses her boosters and can't get back for another 4 seconds. That's the other thing about it. D.Va uses her cooldown to come up here. That means that she can't go back for 4 seconds, at least fast. She could drop down and then walk. But you know, that's 4 seconds of downtime. If she's contesting somewhere elsewhere, if she's going on a hard dive, we can just hit the areas of their comp that are unable to go for that hard dive.
That makes sense.
Like new again. Stay near the immortality field.
Earlier lamp, like it was a good lamp, don't get me wrong, but an earlier lamp is better than a late lamp because
Right.
if you mistime it, then you're kind of screwed.
Yeah.
Whereas if you land it earlier, even if it doesn't protect or save the life of our Doom, let's say it's like unnecessary, it's still downtime. The people will stop shooting Doom to shoot the lamp, and that's perfect time for you to get 2 heals on our Doom. That's an extra 100 health or something like that.
Yeah.
So an earlier lamp is a good distraction. It's also a good way of ensuring that they are kept up instead of it being too late.
That makes sense. Okay.
Now you see me? Now you don't. I'm over it. Healing you up. Everyone feeling better? Light them up.
Again, I literally have no issue with that.
Yeah, my
But
thought
it's
there was
more
just get the
nuanced.
tank.
Yeah, it's more nuanced as to why I have no issue
I
with this.
thought you needed a hand.
So in this situation, I always say final fight, second point. If we have a lot of time in the time bank, that is the only example, other than I guess third point. If we have a lot of time in the time bank, I have no issue with it either. But second point, more so. Second point on any payload or any escort map. I don't care if you ruin your ult economy. I don't care if we pop 4 or 5 ults. If we have a lot of time on the bank. Right now we have 2 minutes. I would be completely happy to pop everything that we have because
You'll have time to
if we
recover it.
secure this fight win, 1, we have a checkpoint. We don't get sent all the way back, you know, to that spawn. And 2, we now have another 3.5 minutes or 3 minutes, 10 seconds to rebuild all of our ults. We'll have another 5 ults, at least, maybe even 6 because our Torb is on 92, and maybe even 7 because our Cassidy is on 77, right? We might have another 6 or 7 ults to fight for final point now because we weren't afraid to use everything for the second point. It's a nice little reset. We now have 3 minutes. That's only a minute less than what first point was. And think about how many ults get popped on first point.
Yeah.
Close to 9-10 from like, you know, either team.
Right.
Surely. So we can now readjust. On top of this, Have you heard of like dry fights?
No.
Have you ever heard of a dry fight? Okay, cool. This is I'm giving you a lot here. Like I'm giving you a lot.
I'm keeping up with
Dry
it. You're good.
Yeah, the concept of it's also helpful that you're recording because you can refer back to it anytime.
Yeah.
But the concept of a dry fight is okay, we have one ultimate, they have 5 ultimates. They're definitely going to win this fight. So we made the call, don't pop any ults, and we specifically target the people who have ults on the enemy team. So in this case, because I can ult track pretty accurately, I would probably 90% of the time know that they have Junkrat ult, Reaper ult, and Diva ult. Just because I can personally track that. So if I'm calling in comms, I'll say, okay, we only have Torbolt, don't use Torbolt. We hard engage onto the Reaper. We ignore Junkrat, don't focus Junkrat because if we focus Junkrat, he won't pop his ult if he's getting shot at. Whereas Reaper will. Do you see how that works?
Yeah, that
A
does.
Reaper ult is different to the Junkrat ult. So I would make the call, okay, here we don't use a Torbolt, we'll hard focus Reaper. We'll try and sustain it. Like if we can cancel the Reaper roll, then that's fine. We'll still try and win the fight. But the goal of this fight is to have a dry fight, meaning we pop nothing and we try and force as many ults out on their team. So if we can get Reaper or Junkrat ult, that's completely fine. You need to start thinking about these lost fights as wins if they're popping 4 or 5 ults. If they're popping 2 ults as a trade-off to our 0 ults. Okay, so then the next fight, what do? They no longer have Junkrat ult, they no longer have Reaper ult because they've just used them. They have one Diva ult, and now all of a sudden we have the Turbo, we have the Kitsune Rush, and we have the Cassidy ult, and we just run them over with those ults. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. Yep.
So that's the concept of a dry fight. And so ruining your ult economy, the next fight always allows you to have a dry fight and ruin the enemy team's ult economy. And that's something that people don't think about. If people are
yeah.
losing the fight, people are running at you, they're more than happy to press Q. They're more than happy to pop those ults. But really, they don't know that we are also happy for them to pop those ults.
Yeah, that makes sense.
They're celebrating on their side of the comms, like, you know, nice fight win, guys. Whilst we're celebrating like nice fight win, guys.
Yeah.
Like
Just a different perspective. I'm with you.
yeah.
You done?
Ult economy is super important. It's the only way you can turn fights in Overwatch with ults. So like having a lot of ults to fall back on and only using 2, maximum 3 in a fight is like super important. You also don't want to stack both abilities. So you don't want to lamp something that's going to get Suzu'd, or you don't want to window a Kitsune Rush. Do you see how that works? Like Kitsune Rush and window, they're both tempo based. That's another concept. I don't even know if it's worth explaining that, but a lot of the support ults are the same in terms of like the times that you pop them. And Baptiste window and Kitsune Rush are the exact same. Either enemy team speeding on you and we pop window or Kitsune Rush to you know, sort of clash heads with them to regain that tempo and try and win it like that, or we try and run at them and be so explosive and be so powerful and catch them off guard out of position. So it's either like it's always going to be a tempo-based ultimate, both window and Kitsune Rush. But sometimes we do it defensively when someone's running at us, and sometimes we do it offensively. So once again, it's about like tempo acquisition and also not tempo sacrifice, but also like trying to take away that tempo from the enemy team.
That makes sense. That makes sense.
And that's why you don't want to pop both at the same time, because it's like, you know, like why would you do that when you can do the same thing 2 fights in a row, you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
Get into the field.
Okay, they use Diva Bomb, they use Reaper ult, we use the Torbjorn ult. It's bad that we use the Torbjorn ult, but at the same time, they use more ults. They use more ults. So overall, it's not a bad fight from our behalf at all. Like, this is a positive.
Yeah, because we're coming up on 4. Well, for sure 2, but then good probability of 4 for the next fight.
Yeah. And they're coming up on 3,
his.
and we've just killed one of them that do have the ult. So
Yep.
We force Wraith, so we have to super int on the Wraith. Look for stuff like those sort of cooldowns.
I'm the cream of the crop.
Yeah, good call to back up in my opinion. Again?
Yeah.
Okay, the break
A little
pack.
aggressive.
Nah, it's a little aggressive, but I think it's fine, to be honest. I said good call to back up. Backing up would have been viable, but the repick is fine. Me personally, if I'm on a character like Bap, the second I see a brick pack or Kiri heals, that's my cue to get out. So maybe I would repeat, maybe I would contest, but the second I see a brick pack, okay, he's getting sustained. I do not win this. If he like all he has to do is close the gap and I die, or at least I get my lamp forced out, and I don't want my lamp forced out.
That makes sense. Yeah, once they
Yeah.
start getting pocketed. Yep.
But he dies regardless because our Cassidy was able to match the damage output, so we can't complain. I want to see how you use this window, because this map, there's a lot of ways that we can potentially use the window. This is a nice angle here.
Yeah.
As long as people peek here, this is a nice angle for a window.
It's one they don't expect either. A lot of times I've used it a few times.
Yeah.
Immortality field deployed.
I think they forced that lamp out of you too early. You just need more composure with your abilities, honestly.
Immortality field deployed.
That was a bit too early because there was actually not a threat that you couldn't out heal, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
if you
like
hit your
that.
shots
Torb
there,
didn't
you
have
just
4
out.
people to tabble on him or
Yeah,
anything like that.
yeah.
Yeah.
Wraith. Okay, I'll be looking for the Wraith. I'll be looking to hit the Reaper after the Wraith. But now, Reaper and Brig is very hard to dive. Like, together. Like, you just don't win that gunfight ever.
Everyone feeling better? Winners stay on the payload. Get into the field.
That lamp was fine. That lamp was fine, I think, because
Light them up.
Reaper Junkrat kind of walking on our tank. We want it to be early, but not too early. So I'll let you off with that one. A bit of a weak window once again. The angle that I showed you would probably have been more aggressive and probably would have forced them back a lot more as well, to be honest.
Good call. Okay.
Now they just cycled us. Yeah. It's a bit of a comp diff, I'm not gonna lie. Like, Doomfist into Reaper, Junkrat, Brig, Diva, and a Kiriko that can escape any of his abilities at will is kind of... Yeah, this is unfortunate. I don't think it's anything to do with you here, but like I said, you have to take things into your own hands. Maybe
Yeah.
you just Zenyatta and just sit in the back lines, you know, super far away and just spam them because the Discord is broken. Maybe we Ana and just try and cycle the nades and land those nades. But yeah, if something's not working out, we got to make either adaptations to playstyle or compositions. Either works. We can make changes to heroes or just changes to our general playstyle. I would probably play Zen into that, but if you can't play Zen, the Ana wouldn't be too bad for forcing out the Wraith form and stuff like that. Ana is really good into Reaper. You can cancel his ult, all of that.
Right.
Ready for battle.
Honestly, before I
Can-
played BAP, I thought Ana was going to be my main.
Ana is fun, I guess.
Yeah, she is. Yeah, I definitely agree with that. Yep. And I usually will try and get some
Nice.
early
It's
damage
good that you
there,
went
yeah.
over. Yeah,
Thanks for the help.
It's poor.
beautiful.
That poor
That's
Farah.
just unfortunate.
Yeah, I know. I really felt bad for him. Like, I mean, she's gonna die, but it's unfortunate. I don't know what this diva was doing, to be honest with you.
Who's not you, me?
Yeah. In my opinion, even though you're backing up, your long term, your goal for backing up is walking to safety, and safety is oftentimes proximity to your team. So okay, I'm gonna ask you because I reckon that there's 3 possible things that you could say here. Where is the best path, in your opinion, to get out?
To back out, if they pushed me on my right, obviously I don't want to go down the alley there, so I would go either on top of the fire truck or behind it, kind of beside it. I'd use the fire truck as a lot of where I think my mind would go. The other is to jump up into the room currently behind me is the other that I would think of.
Mhm. Yeah, so I thought you were gonna say that. And what I really didn't want you to say is to stack with your team, but take that route. I think the best possible play, yes, this room is safety for proximity, but I think the best possible play, backing up fire truck, hooking round behind your Sigma. So
Right.
right now you can jiggle peek your Sigma, you can heal your Sigma, you're close to your Kiri, you know, you can clear your Torb. It's not too difficult to hit these shots. Um, and you'll be chilling, to be honest.
Yeah, that's a really good call.
Always rotate either around the health packs or rotate to meet your team. Yo, Torbjorn on Midtown, such a good character, by the way. Because this turret hits point. Yeah, this turret hits point. You can also pop this window that covers point. It covers these chokes. It covers down main. But this is the best Torb spot in the entire game. Torb turret on this table peeks out the window, and you cannot see it from the other side.
Interesting. Okay.
You can see the very, very top, and you can still destroy it, but it's like
It's much more difficult.
much more difficult. Yeah, if we have time, I guess we have 18 minutes left in this session anyway, and 4 minutes to cover. If we have time, I'll even hop into a custom game on Midtown and show you what it actually looks like. Because we even use this on officials, like in our actual top 500 games. We'll put the Torb turret there, and then we'll put like our Torb spamming down, I don't know, down here or something like that, or even off angling like here for when they're passing through, and then if they go down left side, we can just wrap round, go on this high ground, and continue spamming them out. And when they break that turret, we'll put the turret here, or put the turret here again. It's just super annoying. Play ring round the rosy with them. Like Torv is such a good character. I love him. I love him so much.
Yeah, he's a lot of fun.
Good to see you. Hello.
And yeah, here I realize she's double pocketed, so I back out.
See you.
You are completely healed.
I wouldn't say you jump too often, but I think a lot of your jumps are very unnecessary.
Okay. Okay.
Your boost jumps, that is.
Yeah.
Like
yeah.
I have no issue with you jumping, but like, you know, you're very slow when you crouch, and you're very fixed and very vulnerable when you're jumping, and you're fixed in the air in that like animation for a long time, and you just died from jumping again, and you
Yep.
might not even have taken that much damage. You might have been able to just walk around out, you know what I mean, and just spam our sig and not necessarily shoot, but at least you're safe spamming your sig from this position, you know.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, it's a habit that Overwatch players have, jumping too much. I jump too much all the time, to be honest. Yeah, I jump too much all the time, but I guess because I play Lucio, it's less important. Like, you know, I mean, I'll just be jumping on walls and stuff, but
I'm giving it all I've got.
oh,
Yeah. Yeah.
he did well there. He did
He did a
very
very
well
good
there.
play. Yeah, it was exactly what I said too. I was like, all right, that's fair play. That was good.
Someone keeps nah, sorry. I was gonna say someone keeps ringing like my doorbell buzzer, but like I live with 6 other people, so I'm just like waiting for someone else to answer the door. I'm not expecting anything. I presume it's for someone else, but
Oh, you're fine.
Immortality field deployed.
Kind of a desperate throw to try and help the Sigma.
I don't think it's too bad, because at least it tells you. Oh my god, that is horrible from our Sig.
I have no idea what he was doing there. I literally said, I'm like, why would you ult? Why? You literally just made yourself a flying target. Why would you do that?
What is
If I see that, ooh, as a player, this is my player brain. I don't know if it's the best possible shout, but I probably try and window heal him up, you know.
Yeah. And
Because
that's,
if you manage to sustain him, the flux is probably big. If he's popping it like that, the flux is probably gonna be big. So what I would try and go for is a window heal.
that's counting on the fact that I can hit those, which honestly, that's
You
an area I
hit
struggle
one
with.
singular shot.
I was gonna say out of the 3 I shot at him, yeah.
But think about it, like the double heals, if anything, means that you can afford to miss once.
That's
If
true.
anything.
That is true.
With the possibility of hitting, you know, and also the burst of getting healed up 101 is like actually a different dynamic to just 50-50, you know, 50 plus 50 is different to 100 plus 0.
Yeah.
In terms of like, because all video games are done like it's just numbers being generated, right? It's just
Mhm.
numbers stacking up and numbers going down, and so like there is actually a difference.
Science rarely rewards overconfidence.
Now we go Zarya.
Yeah. I peeked that corner, and I really thought that I was good, but I must have just been a hair. Because I saw it, I'm like, crap.
You know what that is? That is probably because you have the habit of spamming crouch to jump. Look, you were holding
Oh, I
crouch.
was.
See?
If I slowed myself down just enough to stay in
Yeah.
it. I would never have
Mhm.
noticed that. I'm glad you pointed that out.
Yep. So there's an example of why you shouldn't just spam crouch at random times.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a really good point, actually.
Yeah. Also, remember you have a lamp. You need to try and care for your team with lamps and stuff like that. I wouldn't even necessarily think about. Oh, that's so cute. He bubbled the teammate instead of bubbling. He bubbled the teammate with ult instead of bubbling herself. That's so okay, fair. That makes sense though, playing for our win condition, which is overclock. But yeah, just throw your lamp at your teammates and try and get out. The thing is, if you threw a lamp here,
Hmm.
that will cover you regardless.
Yeah.
Because if you want to go out of LOS of your lamp, you're also going out of LOS of the Diva Bomb. So, you know, like throw the lamp and then rotate yourself out safely. Okay.
Yeah.
So you probably protect the Zarya, not the Torb.
Yeah, Torb's toast.
And then only one dies. Oh my god, yeah. One singular lamp. Only one person dies here. Because you and Zarya live, and you still have the overclock. And your Zarya has extra 40 charge from bubbling the Sojourn.
That's actually a
Again,
really good point. That
do
one
you see
lamp.
the chain
Yeah,
reaction?
that one lamp.
Just from one lamp. And you have Kitsune Rush. Kitsune with overclock. Jesus Christ. It's
Yeah,
crazy.
they would be nuts.
Um even window. One shots, rapid fire, what? One singular lamp. Hmm.
Hello. Hey.
You need to try and pop a window here.
Yeah,
Because
I
they're
think that
running
was
us
my
over.
biggest mistake. I did, yeah. I threw it, but it was kind of like, nah. If I had jumped up and popped the window from up above, I think it might have been a little bit better.
Yeah, you need to wait until people push through.
Right, where they're stuck
Before
in
you
open.
pop window. Because then if they push through and then back up, you are killing the clock. That's all the game mode is, killing the clock.
Right.
Oh,
I
that's
should have
rough.
seen that one coming. Like, when he started
Yeah.
pushing that aggressively, I should have literally
Yeah,
realized he
it's
was just
true.
going to ult.
That is true.
Again, a huge thank you to Coach Cuffy for squeezing me into his very tight schedule and doing this completely out of his goodness of his heart, because I don't have $1 to give him. Again, his TikTok link is in the description. Please do me a favor and go follow him as a thank you for him helping me here. If you do want to see a video where I critiqued my own VOD in a previous time, check out this video right here. Totally worth watching.